It's over, Marcus said again, his voice firmer this time. We've beaten them, Leah. Nero's gone. Luca's gone. The city is ours now. Leah stared at him for a long moment, then let out a slow breath, her shoulders sagging as the tension finally released from her body. I want to believe that. I do. Marcus reached out, gently taking her hand in his. We'll make it true. Together. The weight of those words settled between them, carrying the unspoken promise of a future they hadn't dared to imagine before. For so long, they had been fighting for survival, justice, and redemption. But now, with the battle behind them, they had the chance to build something new. Something better. Leah squeezed his hand, her grip steady despite the exhaustion that clung to every part of her. What happens next? Marcus smiled, the question sparking a warmth in his chest. It was a question they hadn't been able to ask before. What happens next? Now, they could finally think about the future, about the lives they wanted to build. We rebuild, Marcus said softly. We give the people the city they deserve. And we live. For once, we live. Leah's lips curved into a small, tired smile. That sounds nice. For the first time in what felt like an eternity, the future didn't feel like a distant dream, it felt natural. Tangible. Within reach. And though Marcus knew the road ahead wouldn't be easy, he also knew he wouldn't walk it alone. Their hope for the future, their belief in the possibility of a better Rome, was a testament to the resilience of the human spirit. The days following the final battle were a blur of activity as the city began to heal. The people of Rome, weary from years of oppression and conflict, came together to rebuild the streets, the homes, and the lives that had been shattered by Nero's reign. It was a slow process, but there was a sense of unity now that hadn't existed before, a shared determination to create something new from the ashes of the old. The once desolate streets now bustled with life, the broken homes were being restored, and the lives that had been shattered were slowly finding their way back to normalcy. Marcus threw himself into the work, using his influence and resources to give the people the tools they needed to rebuild. His media empire, once a tool of manipulation and control, was now being used to spread messages of hope and resilience, highlighting the stories of those who had fought and sacrificed for the future of Rome. But despite their progress, Marcus couldn't shake the weight of everything that had come before. He had spent so long in the shadows, using his power for gain, that it was hard to accept that he could now use that same power for good. The guilt still lingered, the memories of the lives he had destroyed under Nero's regime haunting him in quiet moments. It was Leah who kept him grounded. She had also thrown herself into the work, leading the efforts to rebuild the city's infrastructure and restore the neighborhoods that the conflict had hardest hit. But unlike Marcus, she didn't dwell on the past. She had made peace with the choices she had made, with the sacrifices that had been necessary. Her resilience and ability to move forward despite the hardships were a testament to her personal growth. One evening, after a long day of meetings and planning, Marcus found her sitting on the steps of the makeshift city hall, her eyes gazing at the horizon as the sun set over the skyline. He sat down beside her, the quiet between them comfortable and familiar. "How are you holding up?" Marcus asked, his voice soft. Leah let out a long breath, her gaze never leaving the sky. "Tired. But good. We're making progress." Marcus nodded, though his mind was elsewhere. "Do you ever think about what's next? After all of this?" Leah turned to look at him, her brow furrowing slightly. "What do you mean?" Marcus hesitated, his heart pounding in his chest. He had been thinking about this for days, about what the future looked like, not just for the city, but for them. They had been through so much together, fought side by side in battles that had tested every part of them. But now, with the war behind them, Marcus wanted more than just survival. He wanted a life. He wanted a future. "I mean us," Marcus said quietly, his eyes searching hers. "What happens to us?" Leah stared at him for a long moment, her expression unreadable. For so long, their relationship had been defined by the fight, by the mission they had shared. But now, with the city beginning to heal, Marcus wanted to know if there was something more for them. Suppose they could be more than just soldiers in a war. "I don't know," Leah said, her voice soft. "We've never really talked about it." Marcus swallowed hard, his heart racing. I want to talk about it. I want to know what you want. Leah's gaze softened, her eyes filled with a tenderness that surprised Marcus. I want a future, she said quietly. I want a life where we don't have to fight every day just to survive. I want to rebuild this city, and I want to do it with you. Marcus felt a lump form in his throat, his chest tightening with emotion. I want that too. For the first time, the future didn't feel like a distant dream. It felt real, tangible. As they sat together, watching the sun sink below the horizon, Marcus knew that whatever challenges lay ahead, they would face them together. We've come a long way, Leah said softly, her hand resting on his. Marcus smiled, his heart swelling with a sense of peace he hadn't felt in years. We have. Leah turned to him, her eyes shimmering with unshed tears. So, where are we going? The question hung between them, echoing the exact words Leah had asked him so many times before. But this time, there was no hesitation in Marcus's answer. Wherever you are, he said softly, his voice filled with quiet certainty. Leah smiled, and at that moment, Marcus knew they had found something worth fighting for, something worth living for. The past was behind them. The future was theirs. And as the city of Rome began its slow, steady recovery, Marcus and Leah stood together on the threshold of a new beginning, ready to face whatever came next. The end.